5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Welcome to another race analysis video. This is the last of the Norwood Cycling Club winter crits. It's a pretty chilly, windy, wintry day. It's been raining overnight, but the track's just drying up, and you'll see throughout the race that this bottom corner gets drier and drier every lap. We are on the western circuit of the Victoria Park track. This one's we don't usually race on this. Normally we either race on the full track or on the eastern circuit, and you can see from the map that it's really not a complicated circuit. You can hit the top corner, which is the one we've just gone through, at full speed, and the bottom corner, it can be a bit tricky if you get a bad line. But the trickiest thing about it was that there was a bit of wind. There was a left to right wind as we're going down the course this way. So I'm on the windy side. And when you come out of the next corner, if you're not on someone's wheel, you can end up having to do a whole lot of work to get back on. The first lap today was pretty chill, which was pretty good. I was not feeling great, just coming off the tail end of the cold. And I'd done a pretty big team ride the day before with a whole bunch of sprints in it, so there wasn't a whole lot left in the legs. Speaking of teams, just ahead of me in the sort of checkered kit and the blue and orange bike is Alex. Alex is on my team this year, and I'm going to have a go at leading him out a little bit later on today. As you can see, I completely mess up this corner, go way too wide, and I've dropped 5 or 6 positions, and now I'm sitting just about off the back of the race. The last feature of this course really isn't a feature. The finishing straight along here is about 600 metres long, and it's so easy to go too early. You have to sprint out of the corner to get up to speed, but then if you're looking for a podium, you need to be in the wheel until about here. There's so many positions to the finish line to be along this course, but that, we just passed over it there. Anyway, as I said, I wasn't feeling fantastic at the start of this race, so I took the first couple of laps just to warm up a bit, settle in, and did absolutely nothing interesting. Perfect example here of how not to take the corner. I'm right on Frank's wheel, I don't take the right line, and he just pedals smoothly through the corner, and I lose 4 or 5 bike lengths, and now I'm at 500 watts trying to get back up to speed. And honestly, I never got this corner right. I think I went through it 30 odd times, and I got it right twice, and both times it was because I was on the front taking my own line. So I've got a bit of work to do there. A few laps later, the pace has been pretty high. My heart rate's up at 175. I've managed to make my way near the front, and coming out of this corner, I take a reasonable line. I'm sitting on Binnock's wheel here. And for some reason or other, I get to the front and then decide I'm actually going to do a bit of an effort. So I put down 500 or 600 watts for a bit. I don't think I was really trying to establish a breakaway or anything. I think I was just finally feeling a bit warmed up. Pulled a short turn and then realised that we had a bit of a gap. But at this point, I was looking back and I could see that although we had a 1 or 2 second gap, the rest of the field was coming really quick, and that got shut down within about 150 metres. So rather than sort of busting in a lung to try to keep with that little group of 4 that I'd pulled off the front, I let the field close it down and sat back in and recovered a bit. A couple of laps later, and the pace has come right out of the race, and my heart rate's below 150. And just out of the corner of my eye, I see a couple of guys going off the front. Now, in this race, I was aware that there was one kid who'd recently been over in Europe racing. He'd had a crash, and had quite a bit of time off the bike, but he was back racing again. I knew his name, but I didn't know who he was, and I didn't know what he looked like or what his kit was or anything like that. But I was pretty worried that someone who was that strong really had a chance of just riding off the front of this race. And so when I saw that there were a couple of guys up the front, I assumed that this must have been this kid and someone else, and I started panicking about it. So I decided to start making my way to the front, just to try to get some momentum back into the chase. I get a bit stuck trying to get through to the front in this corner, but eventually make my way through to the front and pull a turn. Now, I'm not going to say I was punching enormous watts, but it was enough to kind of kickstart the chase. There were a few guys who'd been doing most of the work during this race. Dermot and a few others were just always on the front, pulling turns. And I mean, I'm not going to sit on the front burning energy if there's no reason to. But when the pace comes out of the chase and there's a couple of dangerous guys up the road, you've got to do something. Anyway, I take that corner well for the first time all race, probably because I was on the front, and then flick the elbow and drop back. And thanks to that, the pace kind of rockets back up and we gradually pull them in. Now this bit was a bit weird. I'd been hanging around the back, and then all of a sudden the pace kicked back into the front of the race, and splits started opening up, and people just started going backwards. And I sort of saw a couple of gaps, just little small gaps opening up ahead of me, so I closed them. But as I was doing that, people were just sitting up off the back and drifting. So I'm doing 470 watts and all, but that's not massive. It hasn't been that fast up to now. And all of a sudden, like, there goes Sam Young. He's just drifting back into the group back there. I'm getting a nice tow back up to the front. Lachlan Turnock just seems to sit up and drift back. And at this point, like, I just feel like I'm manoeuvring my way up. I'm constantly sitting on the back, and everybody that I pass just gets dropped right off. So a couple of these Keystone riders, I think that was Mitchell Bavart, did a bit of a turn to close a few of those gaps. But then, they get shelled, and I feel like I'm just playing sort of leapfrog, hopping from one wheel to the next. Pace, as it always does, comes straight out of it, and almost everyone gets back on, but it was just a weird little surge, and I was quite surprised to see how many people weren't able to go with it, or chose not to go with it. They're all back together again. We're sort of 35 minutes into this 45 plus 2 race. Pace comes out of it, and as you'd expect, a couple of attacks go up the road. Now, once again, I'm not sure what kit this kid from Europe is wearing, and I see what looks like a young kid going off the road. Turns out that that's Angus Corbett, not Declan Key, but these two go off the road. Dermot goes with him. I know Dermot is an absolute engine. He can just sustain these long-range attacks through to the finish, and so if he's got someone working with him, as far as I'm concerned, that is dangerous. And what's frustrating me at this point is that the guys on the front are on the front, but they're not pulling, but they're also not getting off and letting someone else do it, and I yell at them a little bit, get told to fuck off, and so I go and do it myself. At this point, I figured I've still got at least 10 minutes left in the race, so if I burn a match here, it's not going to be fatal at the end. But also, I'm genuinely concerned at this point that those two off the front could be the race-winning move. It's within that 10 minutes to the end, 10, 12 minutes, and that's the sort of move that can sometimes slip off the front of a B-grade crit. And so I punch out some pretty good power. I'm actually pretty happy with where my legs were at today, given how bad I was feeling at the start of the race. I was sitting around 450 to 500 watts for, it was only 30 or 40 seconds, but 35 minutes into a race, I was really happy with that. So I essentially brought it close enough that Lachlan Turnock finished closing it down, and then I slotted back into the bunch. And now with 5 laps to go, it's just time to recover and see how I go in the finish. Now, this was supposed to be a 45 plus 2 laps race, so I'm 42 minutes in and I'm sitting really close to the back. And I see them give us the 2 lap to go banner. So I thought we had a little bit more time before they'd give us that, but now with 2 laps to go, I'm in a really bad spot. You see that banner come out, and usually the pace kicks up, and it stops being quite so easy to move around the bunch. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work to get up closer to the front. Having said that, Frank's right here as well, number 150 up here. He's always a good wheel to follow. And I'm on the windward side here, and I'm moving up. So I'm burning a little bit of energy, but I'm also, I'm way too far back if I want to have a shot at contesting the win here. So I'm burning some energy, and there's just really nothing I can do about it. Dermot comes back pretty quickly, and they've got to go around him. A few people dodging. Alex is on my wheel. And I'm going to try to make this corner work for the first time all race in a bunch, and do an okay job getting through there. So now we're back onto the main straight with 1 lap to go. Pace comes right out, so I probably didn't need to worry as much as I did. I probably didn't need to burn as much energy, but having said that, I'm in a much better position than I was when the pace does get back on. But look who's now moving up ahead of me on the right. There's Frank again. So he hasn't spent the energy that I spent. He's taken the corner better than I did. And now, once again, I'm going backwards. I'm in a bad spot, and now we're in the last lap. However, I am here to have a go, so I'm going to have another go at moving up. I think I go around the outside. I'm on the windward side again at this point, coming around this corner. So as we're going, this is slightly uphill. There's a left to right breeze, so I'm on the protected side here. Now, I thought this guy in the sassy kit was going to sprint up to the front and was going to be my ticket, but he didn't in the end. I'm going around the outside. I thought I was going to get closed off, but fortunately they swing around to the left a bit more. And now I'm coming into this top corner that I really don't like, and I'm on the inside of the corner, which I really don't like. Coming out of this corner, you need to be on someone's wheel, otherwise you're just going to get gapped when the pace kicks off. I'm 10th wheel here, and I mess this corner up so badly, and you just see this gap opening. You hear me swearing, and then there's a 10-meter gap, and at this point there's absolutely no point me sprinting this, so I sit down and give up. And that is how to lose a race in a corner. I just sat up and did 100 watts through to the finish. You can see a few people are sprinting for 35th place. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, it was good to be back on the road, and I'm really looking forward to Super Series in a few weeks' time. I'll see you there. Bye for now.